Hi, I'm Reggie Ponder, the Real Critic, and I am here with Tyler again to talk about the Music Box's Black History program. It's called Melanin Roots and Culture, and it happens during Black History Month. And in honor of that, man, I put on my shirt, Celebrate Black Cinema, because I love it when we are celebrating Black cinema and particularly celebrating Black culture. Welcome, man. Thanks for joining me again.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. This is really cool to go ahead and be here for the second time. You were definitely one of the first. I think you might have been the first I ever interviewed with. That was before the WGN interview, before the ABC7 interview. Steve had basically said he told me more about you. I had heard about the Real Critic, but then I got more familiar with you as we started doing interviews, and it's been an honor to go ahead and be on your platform, man. Thank you so much.
Man, well. Firstly, I just appreciate it, and I really appreciate the work that you do to bring this to fruition each year. Talk a little bit about how you got involved in this program, and what's your approach to making sure that you provide a dynamic program.
Okay, well, like I said, I think in the last interview, everything was an idea. So it was an idea that was pitched at our program meetings. Ryan and Rebecca wanted to talk more about what I wanted to do. A friend of mine had a short film he wanted shown. And I'm like, okay, I can help you out with that. But if I want to do that, if we're going to do that, you have to be on board of having other people's, films shown because, you're not going to rent out the theater for 17, 18 minutes just for your film. If you do that, fine. But it made more sense to go ahead and get more Black filmmakers on board. And I was thinking something for Black History Month, and that's around Oscar time too. So people want to come out and see films. People are going to be frequenting Music Box a lot. So yeah, I thought that was a perfect opportunity to go ahead and do something for Black filmmakers, especially people that I already know that are in my network, and just do something more for the city. And now it's evolved into something even greater. I've been able to do this for Juneteenth. I've done it for Hispanic Heritage Month. Now I'm back here for Black History Month. Yeah, so yeah, it's great.
Uh,
My
Go ahead. Go ahead.
but my approach really is just honestly now I would say it's just finding films that really do resonate with us. So that's one thing. Just thinking about all the films that I've seen over the years, whether they be I saw them on BET when I was little, or me and my mother used to watch them, my father used to watch them. Family members, like things that resonate with me as a Black person, and then with other Black people. I already know that resonate with other Black people too. So definitely with Richard Pryor's Here and Now, and then The Woman King. I thought those two films, they're difference in dates, they're difference in time periods they came out in. Different films, like this one is a live concert stand-up film, then the other is action adventure epic of a story loosely based off of a story of a community in West Africa with women soldiers, what I'm saying, fighting, kicking butt. And that's one thing I did want to go ahead and I like doing is showing things that are a little different than out of the ordinary. Like, I can always show an Oscar show film. I can always show, what I'm saying, something from Spike Lee. I can always show something from Casey Lemons. But to show this film, a lot of people don't think about it, but then at the same time, it's appropriate for Black history. So
I love that.
our history, I like to go ahead and say this all the time, our history does not start with the transatlantic slave trade. Our history is very, very broad and very, goes back hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. So from the motherland to where we are now. So yeah, I definitely want to make sure to include that as well with my programming.
So it's really interesting when you look at the like you said, the different time periods. You got Richard Pryor, and then you have the Woman King, and I like what you did here because it makes it where somebody who doesn't know who Richard Pryor is might learn that Richard was a real progressive kind of guy, and some of the things that he's talking about are still relevant today. So I like that. But then when you look at the Woman King and you talk about our history just didn't start with the transatlantic slave, I think that a movie like this does a number of things. Additionally, in highlighting the contributions our women have made to Black history, because a lot of times we kind of focus in on the male contribution. So can you speak to both of those things a little bit?
Yeah. So like with Richard Pryor, I mean, to know that this person has basically is like arguably the greatest stand-up to ever exist in the mainstream world. So, and a lot of things he's done for comedy and things that he's done in terms of, influencing people like Keenan Ivory Wayans and Eddie Murphy and Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock. And, you know what I'm saying? I think it really shows more of how in depth we can get when we choose film programming. And just when it comes to Black history, he's a part of Black history as well. The things that he talks about are part of Black history. His stories are part of Black history. Richard was crazy. He had all types of stuff going on in his life. My favorite joke is when he talking about that fire. You feel that fire? Yeah, you're so real quick. But I mean, things like that also shows human level, you know what I'm saying, to our stories. Like for him to go ahead and to admit all these things that have happened to him and be very, very transparent in his comedy, very truthful in his comedy. It just shows how much you can progress as a person. And
It's really interesting, Tyler, before you get to the Woman King, about how I do think that Richard set that standard for vulnerability, for coming out and talking about things that maybe you might not have put out there. So when you look at Jamie Foxx's current stand-up, you see how he really takes a page out of Richard's book and talks about the things that happened to him. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. I have not seen Jamie's new stand-up yet. I've seen bits and pieces of it, but I've heard it's very introspective. It's very vulnerable. He gets very vulnerable in this.
Well,
And we know Jamie Foxx for being, you know what I'm saying, Jamie as Jamie is, being the performer. But I've heard it's a good one to see. So
excellent. So to go ahead and talk about the Woman King a little bit.
So the Woman King, I mean, quite honestly, just having this film showing Black women in more of an action adventure type of, type of film, with Viola Davis in it, Lashana Lynch in it. Like it's really, and with John Boyega is in it as well. It really just, it's just so eye-opening, so awing, and the picture is beautiful, and the story of this particular community within or tribe within Africa and West Africa, how they how this group of women and how what women have contributed to society and to to all over the world. It's just a good reminder of what we see Black women as typically in film, and what Black women are being being cast as in film, and what we can see. And the Woman King did that when it first came out. People were just like, oh my goodness, like this is the film we've been wanting to see forever. I mean, you got to think of forever. What other movie? There's some good blaxploitation films out there. With, Pam Grier, she kicking butt and whatnot. And they're fun. They're fun films, but a film like this is a little more. It's a little more
real. When you look at this film, you learn that we always see men as the ones who are the warriors. But in this one, we get to see that women were out there fighting, and they were some bad warriors. And since it is loosely based, but the truth of this film is that these women were some bad women.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, I love that. And then you got Thuso embedded in I always pronounce her name right, Mbedu in it as well. So I mean, you got a number of really great women who are starring in this film. So excellent. And then Tyler, I got a chance to talk to one of your short film people. I got to talk to Amir to talk about his film. Talk about the short films, man, because the short films are I think a lot of times the highlight of no disrespect to the feature films, but I think a lot of times the short films are the highlight because they're about subjects and things that we might not get to see, but the ability of these filmmakers from beginning to end to tell a story in 15, 20, or even 30 minutes is phenomenal.
Yeah. So all the short films that we'll have showing, and this is in order, this is a platonic portrait of Black love by Echlam Yasmin. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. Echlam Yasmin. Second would be Daughters by Brittany Nightingale and Sherion Culberson. We'll have Man of the People by Amir George. We'll have Cottage Grove by George Elsie Jr. And then Too Thankful, The Revelation by Brendan Smith.
So I got to ask you about Cottage Grove because I live near Cottage Grove. So I want to know if this is about the street. What's Cottage Grove about, man?
Well, Cottage Grove is a film about a young man who's building a better relationship with his father, who just recently had a stroke. And now that he's seeing how his dynamic between his mother and his father is, now that he's an adult and growing within himself too, Cottage Grove is just basically like, you think about the street you used to live on. You know what I'm saying? I can think of all the streets I used to live on when I was little. Like, that's okay. Like, growing up on Cottage Grove now to where I'm at now. So it started there, but now I'm somewhere else, you know, not just physically, but mentally, spiritually as well. So that's what that film is about. It's really good. It's been making its waves around. So shout out to all the filmmakers, too. Shout out to all the filmmakers, but definitely George Elsie Jr. has a really beautiful film for all of us to see on the 19th and on the 25th.
19th and the 25th are when people can come see it.
Yes,
so
at 7:30 p.m.
7:30 p.m. on those days. Oh, man. As usual, you throw these things when I'm out of town. So you must look at my schedule and say, okay, I don't want Reggie to come. But it's okay. Will the filmmakers be on hand to discuss and take questions? Because a lot of times, especially with these short films, people want to ask questions like, "Hey, I got something that I want to ask you about."
Absolutely. Yeah. So we'll have a Q&A after each screening, and the filmmakers will be there, all 6 of them. They'll go ahead and answer questions from me, and then I'll have audience participation as well. So yeah, definitely. I wish you weren't out of town, man. I wish you weren't. We gotta get you over here sometime soon, man. We really do. I got a lot of stuff I got cooking up as well, so you know, I'll keep you in the loop about that. But yeah, definitely come to the Music Box sometime soon.
Yeah, there's a possibility that I might be here on the 26th. So if I'm here on the 26th, then I'm gonna try to get down there and see you. Look, I did this to Amir a little earlier today, and I asked him a couple of rapid fire questions. So we're at the end of our interview, so I'm gonna ask you a couple of fun rapid fire questions, and I'm gonna ask you similar questions that I asked him. If you were sitting down for a meal and you only could have 2 things on your plate, what would that be?
2 things on my plate if I was sitting down for a meal. Oh my goodness. I would say some Debbie lamb and jollof rice.
Ooh, okay. I just got back from Ghana, so I had a lot of that. So for sure. All right. What do you like about Chicago? Just one thing. What do you like about Chicago?
What I like about Chicago, the camaraderie amongst Black people.
Ooh. All right. I'm loving that. If you were to give some joy or to prop up one or two, I'll give you 2, 1 or 2 of your teachers from wherever, I don't care, from grammar school all the way through, who would that be that you'd be like, yeah, I got to mention Mr. Such and Such and Mrs. Such and Such?
I would say Mrs. Hilgert. Mrs. Hilgert was my history teacher in my junior and senior year in high school. Mrs. Hilgert, my teachers love me. I'm just letting you know that. So it's a lot of them. It's a lot of them that I can go ahead and think of. Oh, I'd say as well. I say Mrs. Craig. She was my 7th and 8th grade math teacher, and she always knew I would be doing stuff like this. Like,
all right, and then if I was there on the 26th and I was like, had the mic and I get to introduce you, I get to say, and now introducing Tyler Michael Ballantine. What's the theme song?
The theme song?
What's the theme song?
I'm gonna say "Little Child" by Curtis Mayfield from the Superfly soundtrack.
Ooh, you went Chicago, man. You went Chicago on us with Curtis Mayfield. And then lastly, the last question I'll throw out for you. If you wanted to give some shine to someone in your family, and I won't make it limited because we know that there's people behind the people to make us who we are, who would that be?
Mama, love you. Like the second person, I'm gonna do. Listen, I'm gonna do the second part. I'm gonna give you two people: my mom and my father. My mother is always loves. Of course, your mother loves you more. You got a good mama. Your mama loves you more than anybody. My father believed in me more than anybody else ever did. He knew. I mean, whenever I started doing theater, whenever I was little, and you know what I'm saying, I started acting and whatnot. He really saw. He wanted me to do sports, but he was like, you know what? Nah, stick to your strengths. Like, I'll support you. And he always did that. He always did that. So shout out to mom and pops.
Oh man, that's beautiful. Well, with that, can you one more time just plug the Melanin Roots and Culture program? If you could just plug that one more time, that'd be great.
Absolutely. All right. So Melanin Roots and Culture at Music Box Theater this February, kicking off Black History Month, February 1st, with Richard Pryor's Here and Now, starting at 10:15. We have a pre-show, a comedy pre-show featuring Jarrell Scott Barnes, Mike Robinson, Arlita Hall, and Jillia Ebanks. Pre-show starts at 10:15 p.m., February 1st. We'll also have tastings from Moore's Beer and selling Moore's Beer in the lounge and at concessions. So Moore's Beer will be out on February 1st. February 23rd at 8 p.m., we have The Woman King. The Woman King will be preceded by a music video screening from local rapper Jay Bambi. Jay Bambi's music video, Church Fan, is going to be played right before, and we're going to give an introduction to that right before the screening, but the introduction and everything starts at 8 p.m. So 8 p.m., February 23rd, The Woman King. Life Within the Lens, black short films by black creators in Chicago. February 19th and February 25th, 7:30 p.m. We'll also be having a little get together in the lounge beforehand around 5:45 on the 19th. On the 25th, we're just having a screening, but on the 19th, around 5:45, 6 o'clock, we're gonna be having food set up. It's gonna be my birthday, so my 31st birthday. Hey, so I'm gonna have my mom out, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna do the whole thing. Directors will be there. They'll be able to chat and talk with people. And anybody who wants food, I don't care if you come up the street, anybody that wants food, come get some food. I'll have vegan and meat-based options. So definitely come do that. But yeah, I can go over all that again. If you want me to, or we all good.
No, you are all good, man. That was fantastic. Thank you so much, man, for joining us again. I wish the program so much success. It sounds very, very exciting. And if I can get down there at any point in time, I'll come on down and join you guys.
Okay. All right, cool. Hey, thank you so much, Reggie. Thank you so much. All right.
My pleasure.